Well, we've been showing you how God has intervened in the history of America and how the Founding Fathers viewed providence as one of the guiding principles behind the formation of the United States of America. Well, we're going to talk about the principle that you may have also heard about the separation of church and state, and how what our modern concept is, how different that is from what the Founding Fathers had. And joining us with more is Jordan Sekulow from the American Center for Law and Justice. And Jordan, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Gordon. Thanks for having me.
A lot of people quote separation in church of state as some kind of principle, time-honored principle, that we need to keep religion out of any government expression.
Right, that we somehow eradicate our Judeo-Christian heritage.
Right, that it's improper. The Founding Fathers, and it's against the Constitution to have religious expression in government.
And unfortunately, more people don't read the Constitution and find out that you don't find the separation of church and state, that it was really a judicially created doctrine to determine when things go too far on the issue of the First Amendment and the Establishment Clause. The idea that our Founding Fathers did not want an established national church. They wanted something different from Europe. Right. They didn't want that idea. But for them to think about the historical context when they were writing this document and then adding the amendments to it, the Bill of Rights, they were sitting back to say, okay, we understand religion's important role. We don't want the government to be tied to that. So in a sense, we're empowering religion even more because it will be truly up to the public. But not that we're not going to have prayer. They employed chaplains immediately. They were printing Bibles. This was important not just for legislatures, but for our military. They were issuing prayer proclamations and national days of prayer. It was really the 50s and the 60s and the 70s when suddenly things started to change.
They prayed before they drafted the Constitution.
That's right.
They had a group prayer.
Absolutely.
What is it that they were afraid of? Why was established church, an establishment of a religious church, and obviously they're pointing at the Church of England. Why is that bad in their view?
I think for them that was the opposite of what the Christian message was about. I mean, I really do think it goes back to Christianity and the faith that they knew, the faith that they grew up with and shared and had. And they came from different faith backgrounds, different kinds of Christian faiths. But this idea that the government power is powerful enough. And their whole point of the Constitution was reining in the government, to making sure the people were always empowered. If you give the government the control of the church as well, so they're also controlling the message in the pulpit, or they're controlling whether the church is supporting the government, it puts everyone in a situation where, is it really faith anymore? Is it really about religious choice, or is it just another government duty? So I think the dangers of the power of that, and also the fact that it takes away from the real choice about, do you want to be religious, and what kind of church do you want to go to, and what kind of message do you want to hear?
In the current courts system and the current court rulings, have we gone so far on the Establishment Clause that we're actually now into prohibiting the free exercise? And have we replaced an established church with an established judicial fiat that says when and where you can have religious expression?
That's a great way to say it. The idea that now we have to go to court to determine how religious we can be and what are the actual terms of that. So the most recent case, the prayer case at the court about city council prayers, Greece versus Galloway, 5-4. 5-4, so very close. I mean, you're one justice away from this being the other way and saying that you can't have prayer. And here they said, like Marsh versus Chambers, a 1980s case, that said it's okay for chaplains to be employed by state legislatures, just like there's chaplains employed by Congress. And it's okay to use funds, and it's okay if they come from one specific faith group, but there were some limitations there already. Even in that case, they started saying, but they can't proselytize, and you can't be nasty about other people's religion. Now, that may have been clear even 30 years ago, what that meant. You fast forward a little bit and you start saying, well, what's that line? And that becomes a difficult line to draw between, does it mean you can pray in Jesus' name? Now, the court said in this case, and it's a great reaffirmation, that you can. That we can still pray in Jesus' name, that you can have people who get up and do the prayer at a city council meeting just like they do at Congress or other governmental bodies. But there's still a fine line. Justice Kennedy, who wrote the opinion, repeated it, that you can't be insensitive and you can't proselytize. So that gives the next, you could already see where that's going.
My mind boggles with that kind of distinction.
Yep.
Because how do you know if it's insensitive? Just by saying, I'm praying in Jesus' name, how in the world could that be insensitive? It's your belief, it's your freedom of conscience.
Yep.
And And how do you know if it's proselytizing?
It's this interesting balance, because they did want to make clear that we don't just want to have non-sectarian prayer. So Justice Kennedy said that the idea that we'll have these government mandated, this is how you can pray, is wrong. That would violate the Establishment Clause as well. That would be the government establishing a religion, which the Constitution prohibits, the Bill of Rights prohibit. But so that you can pray in Jesus' name, but it's more about then demean. What he was going to is really making it uncomfortable for others to be there who may not share the faith. That may seem very practical on paper, but 10 years from now, that will be interpreted. It can be interpreted a very different way. So
well, you can even turn Kennedy's opinion around on itself. If you pray to a nameless God, as a Christian, I would find that offensive.
That's right. I mean, the government...
And isn't that proselytizing a particular view of governmental religion and permitted governmental religion, that unless you convert to my view that the God must be like the Greeks, the unknown God, that unless you adopt that view, you have no place in the public square. So that in and of itself is proselytizing.
That's right. The idea here, and it was interesting, in Greece, New York, most of the prayers were Christian. It's a Christian community, suburb of Rochester, New York. But the idea, other people could volunteer, and they did. There were some bizarre religious faiths, actually, Wiccans who participated. So, and if they signed up, they were allowed to do what they want to do. It was that classic Americana of having people, they can get up, we can deal with it all, it's not going to upset us. It's what we're now facing, and the best way to describe it is this new radical, angry atheist. That's what we've called it, the ACLJ. And they are much more aggressive, and that's who brought this suit in Greece versus Galloway, than even the ACLU or Americans United for Separation of Church and State, because they're not only in this idea of should the government stay out of religion, they also have a real distaste for religious people. They think that there's something wrong with us for having a faith. And so it's twofold attack. And they're willing to fight these battles. And again, I remind people, we're winning them still. But we're having to go to court to ask the judges, or in this case, justices, can we do this? Is this okay in America? A prayer before a city council meeting. And then second, we're one vote away from this going completely the other way, and they're saying that you can't have prayers in this setting. And in fact, Gordon, what's even more troubling to me is that the entire case is really built on history. That somehow that history precedes the Constitution. I think that's right, that you look back and you say, well, our founding fathers were doing this, so how could we possibly say this violated the Establishment Clause? But I think it should go further than that as well. I mean, this is because you could easily see a court in the future then say, well, sometimes history wasn't right. And so that's not, we want the founding to be more solid than that. And so people have to keep fighting. There have to be more towns like Greece, New York, who say when they get these letters from these atheist groups, if you're going to sue, we're going to fight back.
Well, frankly, the lawyer in me says this is a complete waste of judicial resources.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That the mere fact that this isn't a motion to dismiss granted at the time it's filed, that it's just so absurd to claim that somehow a prayer violates the Establishment Clause. It's so against the history of what was going on at the time. No one's talking about establishing a particular religion in America. It's, we want for those who are Christians or of any faith to be able to pray in the public square as part of their functions in office. And they have the free expression of that. Why isn't this just completely dismissed and literally laughed out of court?
Sure. Well, some of the cases are, and that's the good news. Now, how these atheists have had some success, and it is specifically them, they are different than the groups we've fought with in the past, is just a threat. So they threaten a town says, wait, I don't want to go through a lawsuit, even if we win. I'd rather just change our policy. We'll remove the cross. We'll take down the 10 Commandments. We won't do the prayer. We'll change something at the school. The list goes on. We won't have the graduation at a church, even though we don't have a facility on campus because we're rebuilding our gym. That kind of thing. And so they just back down. And sometimes that's understandable. You know, they target smaller towns usually in communities. When they target big cities, they go down in flames, these atheist groups, because the big cities fight back against these kind of challenges. But they are very careful. They're going after a cross just about 20 miles from here that I didn't even know about until the atheists, it was a World War I memorial, until the atheists started complaining about it. It's been there since the 1930s. So the idea that nothing is off limits to them, and they're going after towns and communities that are hurting. So we just have to be ready to fight back. They're not going away. There are judges who do dismiss these, but they find allies as well. I mean, they've gotten things like the National Day of Prayer to the circuit court level. They found a district court who agreed with them, a judge. It was overturned, but that takes time, money. It takes a lot of, and you, again, keep fighting.
So there's forum shopping?
Yeah,
Let's go find a friendly judge, and let's go find a case in his jurisdiction.
Yeah, in a town that's hurting, and a community that's going to have a tougher time fighting back. But for all those communities out there, schools and people that are watching now, there are ways to fight back. That's why groups like us exist, because you don't have to hire a law firm. We do it for you, and we get contacted a lot, and sometimes we are able to quickly resolve it, in most of the cases actually, without ever having to go to court, because you just have to inform the community, inform people what the law is. I see a lot of times these atheist groups, what they send to people, and it's like half of the Supreme Court decision. It's not a full explanation. It looks long, it looks like it's fancy and it has all this explanation, but the truth is most of it's opinion, not law.
Right, and it's pushing an agenda.
Absolutely.
All right, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do it?
Easy to go, aclj.org.